welcome to the speaker series presented by the Entrepreneurs Forum, which is a weekly event featuring industry leaders held every Thursday on Zoom. It's designed for learning and networking. I would like to introduce our sponsor, Mundo Digital Designs, which is a female-led web design and branding agency with a strong social impact focus. Every project with them is a step towards empowerment. For every new client, they sponsor therapy and provide valuable business and design skills to women in need. In today's episode, we are joined by Lenora Edwards. Lenora is an expert by experience in overcoming eating challenges, a published TEDx speaker, board-certified speech-language pathologist, certified holographic memory resolution practitioner, certified neuro-linguistic programmer and hypnotist, emotional healing facilitator, and wellness expert. And Lenora has over 70 guest media appearances. Thank you for joining us today, Lenora.
Thank you so much for having me. It's great to be here with you.
Always pleasure to see you. Now, you have a fascinating journey that intersects emotional eating expertise with communication skills. Could you share with us what motivated you to combine these areas of expertise into the impactful work you do today?
I love that question. The most impactful combination was really when I started to notice that I was really, really criticizing myself for everything that I was doing. And as I was doing my best to, think positive thoughts and be optimistic, this inner voice, this inner communication that was going on really was driving my life and not in the direction that you really had wanted. And even though I would go down or what people would call the rabbit hole of personal growth or positive thinking, things were not clicking quite the way that I had wanted. And it was once I noticed that maybe there wasn't something new, and that I was still missing something. And I started to actually have conversations with people, which completely changed my world, reaching out to professionals. So we could read books, we could read magazines and watch YouTube videos galore. But it's really as we integrate it and we work with other people that we realize, oh, that's how I'm communicating with myself. Oh, that's how I'm communicating with other people. Oh, that's the loop that I'm stuck in. And it completely changed my life.
That's good. Now, in your work, you often emphasize the power of transforming one's relationship with food through emotional healing. Can you share a pivotal moment in your own life that led you to specialize in emotional eating and binge eating recovery?
It was my own personal experience with it. And when it comes to emotional eating, a lot of people don't really realize that they're an emotional eater. They're just kind of going, oh, I need something to eat, or oh, let me eat the bag of chips, or "Oh, this is really sweet. Oh, this is my favorite." When we're in an emotional state of which we're humans, we go in and out of emotional states of joy and feeling great and feeling less than positive all day long. And once we start to notice food is really coming up a lot and I'm not hungry. I'm eating it. I don't even want it. There's something else there. And food is connected to every aspect of our life where we eat it in times we're happy, we eat it in times we're sad. Food is always at the center of it. And when it becomes something that you use to manage your feelings, it really is very eye opening that something else is going on.
Mhm. Now, what are some common misconceptions you encounter about emotional eating, and how does your approach help to correct these misunderstandings?
The biggest misconception is that people think it's willpower. And oh, well, just and some people who don't really understand individuals who are reaching for food. And it could be food, it could be alcohol, it could be drugs. When individuals are reaching for something else to neutralize what they're feeling, people will think it's about willpower. And even that individual who just doesn't understand what they're doing or why they're reaching for it thinks, I just don't have the willpower. It's just not for me. This isn't for me. And it has nothing to do with willpower because when it's an emotional response that we're reaching for something, so drugs, alcohol, food, whatever it is, we're wanting to move away from being uncomfortable, from being in that discomfort, and we're wanting to move into something that's more comfortable, even if it's a comfortable thing. And people will think, oh, I just lost my willpower today, or I'll start again tomorrow. And you might even hear people say, well, just don't eat the bag of chips. Well, just don't have one. And that emotional driver is running 95+% of you. And you're fighting that emotional driver with 5% conscious And then you end up beating yourself up, getting stuck in this loop of, I should be better. I should have more willpower. And you should all over yourself. And that's the biggest misconception, is that people think it's just about willpower and that they're just not strong enough. Has nothing to do with that.
Yep. Now, could you share a transformative success story from your practice that really illustrates the impact of your work on individuals struggling with their relationship with food?
Absolutely. So in my group coaching program, and I launched it and recently, and it's called Eat, Love, Heal. And the individuals that are in the program know that they can reach out to me whenever they like, and I'll do my best to answer in a timely response. And the woman that had reached out to me, she was watching the recording, and she messaged me going, I am in a panic and I'm deep into my refrigerator eating everything I can, because she had such an emotional response to what I was teaching on my platform. And I thankfully was able to reach back out to her, and I walked her through a process. I got her on the phone and I walked her through a process, and we had an immediate shift because her heightened level of intensity at that moment was really, really high. And the fact that she felt safe enough to reach out to actually tell somebody, hey, and to not only tell somebody, to tell a professional that said, I'm really struggling right now. Do you have a moment? The fact that she was able to do that, not only did we completely resolve why she was reaching for food, we were able to help her calm down in that moment. And in that moment, she also then had a massive, massive shift, to the point that each day that I checked on her following that thereafter, 2 3 weeks later, her taste buds had changed. Her desire for food had changed. Her habits had changed. Her pants had gotten looser because of the fact that we released that emotional response that she didn't need to have, and we were able to neutralize her emotional response so that she was feeling much better, and everything started to rewire. It is absolutely extraordinary to hear stories like that and to be able to share it, because I know how much pain she was in. I know that frustration. I know that heartache and that anger and that series of emotions she was wrapped in. And the fact that we were able to get her to such a different place so quickly, it's extraordinary.
Yeah, and like in today's society, there's a lot of unrealistic body standards. So how do you incorporate self-love, body positivity into your coaching and workshop?
Absolutely. And I teach that also in my group coaching, but also when I'm with one-on-one. It's really important to start noticing, what do you want? What have you been told? Which, if you think of it kind of like a buffet, everybody's sharing information, whether it's follow this diet plan or follow this outfit and follow this information. Everybody's sharing. What do you want to eat? Quite literally, mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually. What do you want to eat? And when you can notice, you know what, that just isn't for me. Let me really take an evaluation of, what do I want? What's important to me? How do I want to feel in my body? What kind of relationship with food do I want? When we can start to explore that, and even in 5 minutes, just write down, what do you really want? And give yourself permission to allow yourself to want what you really want, it changes everything. And then you get to realize, oh, I don't have to follow that person. Oh, I don't have to follow that. I don't have to think that this food is bad. I can incorporate it into my life. I might not eat a sleeve of Oreos, but I certainly can enjoy Oreos. And finding what's really important to that individual, that makes a huge difference. And once they realize they have permission to want that, it's huge.
I think that that's probably the biggest thing is even like a lot of the common diets and everything are like, well, you can't have these foods. Well, you're just sometimes it's just a treat, you
Yeah.
know? And if you can't have it, you want it more.
Yeah.
That's the way I feel half
Oh,
the time. So,
completely, completely.
yeah.
That rebellion in you, and then you have this ongoing fight. I shouldn't, I should, I shouldn't, I should. And
Mhm,
it can feel like the tennis match from hell, because you're just
mhm.
having this ongoing battle, and it's exhausting. There are so many
Yes.
spectacular things that we can focus on. And to keep going back to something like that, and we go, I'm smarter than this. I know I can think of other things than this to focus on, but it's that emotional driver. But once we
Mhm.
resolve that, we clear it. Oh my gosh, it's huge.
Yeah. So, how significant is that role of mindfulness in changing your eating behavior? And could you provide an example from your practice where mindfulness led to somebody breaking through for somebody?
Being mindful and really starting to notice, do I want this or am I eating it because somebody told me I should? When we can really understand that and it's important to really notice when we're eating, we're nourishing for our body. We're consuming food, we're enjoying food for a variety of reasons. And one of them should primarily be, what do I want it to feel like after I'm done eating? Do I want to feel really good in my body? Do I want to feel like I had this really satisfying, enjoyable experience? And sometimes our culture would dictate, go as fast as you can, have as much as you can, drink as quickly as you can, and then get up and repeat and do it again, all hocked up on caffeine and coffee and quick food sandwiches. We're so reinforced that everything, at least on the East Coast or the Northeast Coast by me, everything has to be fast and everything has to be quick. When we can really pause and say, you know what, I'm going to enjoy my meal. I'm going to really enjoy preparing the food and enjoy that as an experience. Come into the present moment and really allow ourselves to prepare the food that we want. Take our time eating it and enjoying it and allowing ourselves to really experience it becomes so much more satisfying and fulfilling. Other times we're way up in our head and we're just neutralizing and just trying to go as quick as we can. But once we really come down into our body, we get to say, ooh, I'm going to be here now and I'm going to give myself permission to enjoy every single bite of this. That's a totally different meal. Think about your most satisfying meals. Where were you? What was the room like? Who were you with? What did it taste like? It probably wasn't the quick food that you grabbed at the gas station as you're racing off to the next thing. And that food bar really probably wasn't the best meal of your life. But if you think about your best meal or your favorite meal, you get to really realize, wow, that was a great meal. That was super satisfying. And that's really, it sounds simple, because it's not always allowing ourselves to really come into that moment to say, this is what I'm going to do.
Mhm.
And we
Now,
got to
for
give
someone,
ourselves permission.
yeah, exactly, that's probably the biggest thing. So, for someone who's just beginning their journey to a healthier relationship with food, what's one tool or strategy you often find effective?
Oh, one tool or strategy. The first I would say is to give yourself permission that you want to do this, that you want to explore this and go in with curiosity and playfulness and be open to how you really want to get in touch with what you want to experience with food, what you want to experience in your body. And when you can come into that and go, what do I really want? What about me? I'm so busy thinking about what everybody else is telling me to do and where and react and how to respond. What about me? What do I want? And allowing ourselves to really open that door and write it down, write it in your own handwriting and allow that pen to just flow. And you will be so surprised about the things that really come out of that pen. That is an amazing way to start.
Now, I mentioned earlier that you're certified in holographic memory resolution. Can you explain how this method helps in healing trauma related to emotional eating and what makes it unique from other therapeutic approaches?
Holographic memory resolution is a technique that is so near and dear to my heart. And I mentioned it on my TEDx talk. And it is a gentle emotional reframing technique where you don't have to relive the memory and you don't have to re-experience the pain. And you don't change the memory. You change your experience of that memory. And what it does is it ultimately, when we're talking, so right now, as you and I are talking, we're talking in the language of English. Our nervous system has a completely different language. And we're born with that language, and it happens to be in the language of colors, shapes, sizes, and textures. And when we can start communicating to our body in the language it understands, it completely rewires everything in the best way possible. Because you're not having these really intense emotional drivers that we're saying, oh, I shouldn't feel anxious in my chest. I shouldn't be having these heart palpitations. I shouldn't be doing this. I shouldn't be doing that. Again, shoulding on ourselves. It's not going to diffuse it the way that we really need it. And especially when it comes to anxiety or PTSD, these really pivotal things that we carry around with us, we absolutely can resolve that emotional response that's attached to it so that people can move throughout the world without feeling anxious, without feeling overly or heavily weighed down by all this stuff that we carry around with us. And we aren't humans. We carry emotion. We carry emotion a lot. Some of us carry it really, really well because we know how to process it. We don't know how to process emotion, it will weigh us down and it will hold us down from accomplishing anything that you really want to accomplish in your life.
Hmm. Now, your mantra, change your language, change your life, that resonates deeply. Can you elaborate on how changing one's internal dialogue can impact emotional eating and overall well being?
Absolutely. So when you change your language, when you change the way that you talk to yourself, and again in language, let's specifically say the one that we're talking about right now. You and I have a very conversational tone. When we're talking in our head, we're talking to ourselves, but notice the intensity of the voices in your head. Are they gentle? Are they kind? Are they berating? Are they critical? When we can start to notice, oh, I'm talking to myself really harshly, that's not going to be the most serving. And if we have that harsh language, you're not good enough, you're not worthy, and screaming in our head all the time, again, it weighs us down. And it's not, and I used to think this, that, oh, it's just positive thinking, it's just a happy thought. But really, you're communicating with your entire nervous system on the regular basis. You can't not do it. So really what you say to yourself matters. And it's not about, oh, my anxiety isn't there. Oh, no, I don't feel depressed. It's not about saying that it doesn't. Yes, it does. Let's clear that. You don't have to go through life with this. You don't have to experience this all the time or be weighed down by these painful experiences that you experienced earlier in your life. You don't have to live with them on repeat on a screaming loop in your head. You get to decide how you want to talk to yourself, the way you want to talk to yourself. You get this, and this absolutely is a form of self care. And when we can realize, oh, I'm not bad for eating. Oh, I do deserve to eat. Oh, it's okay that I'm eating this. I allow myself to enjoy this meal. You quite literally experience food differently. You digest food differently. You move in your body differently. And you get to then allow yourself to move and eat and enjoy life the way you want in all the ways that are important to you.
Hmm. So, now what are some new projects or workshops you're currently excited about?
I am extraordinarily excited about my Eat, Love, Heal program and am starting it again in the beginning of May and working one on one with people. And I also recently I wrote 3 books last year, which was really exciting. And one of them was officially published, and it was with the technique of holographic memory resolution. And the person that created the technique, his name is Brent Baum. And this is a technique that has been used with individuals who are in inpatient rehab clinics, but also who experienced 9/11, who experienced post or who came back from war. And once people can understand that the tech people will often say like, "Oh, I didn't experience trauma." And this technique is really helpful for reframing trauma. But ultimately, we're humans, and trauma, our cultural definition is being in a war and being in an accident, of which it is traumatic to do that. But really, it's any moment that your nervous system was overwhelmed. So, the loss of a loved one, getting yelled at when you were little, getting your teddy bear taken away, your nervous system filed it in a very specific way. And even though you might not think that you have trauma, that's not a problem, you still have experienced moments of overwhelm. And when we can start to notice, oh, I've experienced moments of overwhelm. Oh, yeah, I've had heartache. Oh, yeah, that person broke up with me. Yeah, I was bullied in high school. Yeah. Oh, I don't have to carry that with me. I don't have to think that I'm worthless. That becomes a different world. And that's what's so important to me about the book that I created with Brent, is because it helps people really understand we are all in this experience together. We are all humans. We're all experiencing emotion. It's a choice if you want to carry the pain.
Hmm. And trauma's different for everybody. Like how we
Everybody.
process everything, what's traumatic to one person is different to the next person.
Completely.
And you have to also realize too, well, that wasn't anything to me because it was just a teddy bear.
Yeah.
But to somebody else, that teddy bear was their best friend. That was all they had at that time.
Right.
So that's where I think a lot of people misinterpret that, and they're like, I don't know why that was traumatic to you. It wasn't to me. It wasn't to you, but that's everybody's entitled to feel the way they feel about their feelings.
Absolutely. You
And
said
that's
that
what
so
I've told a
beautifully.
lot of people. And I was like, your feelings are your feelings. They're valid. If you had a bad day or if it hurts you or if it upsets you, you're supposed to feel that way. It's okay to feel that way too. And what I might not feel that way, but that's fine. That's me. So
Yeah.
yours is different.
Yeah.
So that's what I try to tell people too.
You said that
Now,
so beautifully, Erica.
thank you. Your workshop series, including topics like mindful eating mastery and resilient self-image, offer transformative insights. So, can you share us a key lesson or exercise from one of these workshops that participants find particularly enlightening?
Really understanding, the most enlightening is really understanding that they have the ability to help themselves. And when they can realize that, oh, I'm not broken, I'm actually operating exactly the way that I need to, especially given the circumstances I was under. I'm not broken. And I can help myself. I can take care of myself.
Mhm.
Wow. Huge, huge.
Mhm. Now, what do you do when people feel stuck or they're skeptical about their ability to change? How do you navigate these challenges with them and foster a breakthrough for them?
I love that. What do we do when we feel stuck? Really helping them understand, and this is why I love one-on-one work. And no matter what, I will do one-on-one work for my entire life because I think it's absolutely extraordinary. When we can have that connection and help people understand that they're feeling stuck, and yes, completely. And there's also help. There's also ways to find different avenues. And even going back to my own moment in the dentist chair, when I realized I was doing everything I could to help myself, I still felt stuck and things were getting worse because now I was losing my teeth as a result of an eating disorder. Maybe there's something I just didn't know yet. And really understanding, yes, you feel stuck. I hear you. And I know I have felt that way in my past for sure. Maybe. Might there be something you don't know yet? And there can be another solution somewhere. Really helping them understand. And even if you're ever in this situation with somebody who is telling you that they're stuck, might there be something you don't know yet? And shifting their language into might can be absolutely pivotal because we're not shoulding. When we add the word might there be, it really takes our thinking from I'm this, I'm this to might there be something else? Completely
Mhm.
opens it and allows our brain to really start searching for different answers that can help us.
Now, your background as a speech language pathologist and a communication specialist. So, how do you see the role of effective communication, both with oneself and others, in managing emotional eating?
When it comes to speech language pathology, especially communication, ultimately we're constantly communicating with ourselves. What language are we communicating ourselves? How are we communicating with ourselves? And what's the language that we're using? Is it sometimes, and yes, absolutely. I used to think that, especially when it comes to positive thinking, that I didn't need tough love. There are absolutely times where I need to be tough with myself and give myself tough love. There's a difference between tough love and critical and criticizing and shaming, especially when it comes to the way that we're communicating with ourselves. When we're reaching for something, whether it's food or whether it's alcohol or if you're cutting, something else is going on and there's a communication pattern that you might not understand. And it's important that whether you work with professionals that are whomever they are, really realizing that it's simply a communication pattern. You're simply communicating, and this is the response. There's a cause and effect. It's the response that you're having. How can we communicate to your nervous system that it's safe, that it doesn't need to cope this way? And that's where I think communication really comes into play. We're in a loop. Okay, how can we communicate in an effective loop? We might be in a loop that's not super supportive of us. And that really is the distinction. Is it helping us? Is it hurting us? Helping us or is it hindering us? And being able to notice, have that awareness, and then ask for help wherever we are in our life.
And what advice would you give to individuals aspiring to become coaches in the field of emotional wellness and eating habits?
What advice would I give? When notice your intention.
Mhm.
Are you in it for the right reasons? And people can read intention, people can really feel that sincerity. And when it comes through in an authentic way, people know it, they feel it, and they respond to it.
Mhm.
If you're going into it thinking, oh, this is going to make me money and I'm going to be super da 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 da, your intention might not be as authentic to connect with people in the ways that are important to them. People are coming with really difficult challenges, really big problems, and to say, "Oh, you'll be fine. Yeah, just do this and X, Y, and Z, and here's a positive thought and write an affirmation, and you're going to be good." It may work for some people. It may not work for other people. Coaches, you really want to have a toolbox, not just one thing. It is a toolbox of things that you're going to end up pulling, and it's continuous learning, which I think is really something that is extraordinary, especially on this platform, because I know how many people love to continue to learn. When you're a coach, it's continuously learning about your client, continuously learning other tools, techniques, and to build so that you can be the most effective to those individuals.
Now, are there any specific skills or experiences you would consider essential for them to be a wellness coach? Or
Any specific one, to really have extraordinary communication skills, being able to connect with people on a deep level so that they really understand that you see them, you hear them, and that they can build trust and rapport with you, that you are a individual that they can ask for help and be vulnerable with.
Okay. So now, throughout your career, you've had the opportunity to make a significant impact on many lives. Can you share a moment or feedback from a client that particularly touched you or reaffirmed the importance of your work to say that this is really what I'm supposed to be doing?
Whenever I hear individuals say, you could have never convinced me of this if your life depended on it, and being able to share in their joy. I once had a client reach out to me and she was telling me that she could at times fast for periods of time that she wanted to, and whether it was 12 or 13-hour fast, it was entirely her choice. And she would get frustrated when she would notice something and then feel like she had to have food. When I taught her the techniques that I use every day with my clients, when I was able to work one-on-one with her, the shift that she had gotten was so immediate that you could see it on her face. So I dabble a little bit in Chinese facial reading, and people's faces will highlight in certain areas and they'll also reveal certain things about that individual. You could see the shifts that were occurring as I was walking her through the techniques. Aside from her breathing and aside from the coloring in her face, you saw different lines highlight and clear. And the next day I had reached out to her and a couple days after, and her first response was, I didn't want to text you. And I said, well, you're always welcome to message me. I said, how are you doing? And she goes, I had my doubts. And you could even hear her hesitation to tell me that she thought it was too good to be true. When people are stuck in that emotional intensity, to try and tell them there's a way that you won't have to feel this. I promise that there's a way. It's okay that they doubt you. It's okay that they're hesitant. It's okay that they don't believe it. They don't have to believe it. As long as they follow instructions when they're with me, simple instructions, clear instructions, they will get the change that they want. As long as they allow themselves to be there and to allow it to happen, they will get the changes that they want. And they will then often say, I didn't want to jinx it. I was afraid to tell you because I didn't want to jinx it. It's
Hmm.
huge.
So now, so you've had all these different career changes, and you had many, many vast things in your past. Things that, I mean, you're an extraordinary woman. Every time I talk to you, I just feel more inspired. So, what is your definition of success? What does that mean to you?
My definition of success, I feel, is very personal, and it's very personal and personable to each
Mhm.
individual. What does success look, again, going back to ourselves, what's important about success? What does it look like to you? How do you define if you are successful? And I love to help people. I love to be able to, whether I use the techniques that I know to help people speak more clearly, whether it's public speaking or to release disfluencies and stuttering, whether it's people that I use these techniques for traumatic brain injuries or post stroke. Ultimately, to me, I want people to feel better. And that is success. When I can help somebody feel better because of the things that I've learned, because of the things that I went through, I know that I am, everything that I went through, as hellacious as it was for over 2 decades, everything that I went through was worth it because I was able to help somebody else, was able
Mhm.
to bring that forward. And that to me is the most successful thing that I strive
That
for.
that to me too is something that as long as I'm a helpful person, I get joy out of helping others. And, it really, whenever I see that I've been an impact on somebody's life and that just because if it was just for a few minutes that I met them, I feel like that was my purpose in life. And I've started to drive myself to that part of my life, not so much worried about, oh, this is what I do as a career or this is that, but how can I make an impact on somebody else's life? Because life is a battle. It's a battlefield. And if you don't have the right people in your corner or you don't have the right influence in your life, it can just be horrible or it can be the best experience ever.
Yeah. So well
And
said.
and that's what I aim to be.
I love that. Gorgeous aim.
Yeah. Well, thank you for being with us today. Is there anything that you have coming up that you want to share? Anything you want people to kind of look forward to for you? Anything like any speaking things you have coming up?
Really looking forward to the next level of Eat, Love, Heal and the other things that I have coming down. But I'm really excited to also share the books. I know there are a variety of free gifts that will be shared here. And I just had such a wonderful time talking with you. So thank you so much
Well,
for
thank you.
being here.
As always, it is a pleasure speaking with you. Pleasure to see you again. We won't let it get that long again, for sure.
That
But
sounds great.
once again, thank you for being on the speaker series with us, and just let us
Thank
know if we
you.
can do anything for you. Pleasure once again.